My name is John McKeon, and I'm the moderator of the Teradata Aprimo River community, Teradata and Aprimo's largest customer community. You can connect with us at teradataRiver2.com. Today, we'd like to welcome Michael Embry, Business Intelligence Architect for Sabre, to the River community. Sabre is a global travel and technology company that supports travel and tourism. I'm sure you have heard of Travelocity, one of their major online travel companies. Welcome to the River, Michael.
Thank you.
Michael will be presenting at this year's Partners Conference on making the big decision about big data. Michael, big data, I think it's a great term, but a very confusing term. Everybody defines it 10 different ways. Give me your definition of big data.
Well, to start with, the standard industry answer is it's volume and velocity and variety. And actually, those are good terms to use, but you have to get into more detail about that, because if you think of a Teradata warehouse or a data warehouse in general, I already have a lot of volume. So there's a step beyond that definition. The other common and I think very good solution is it's data that's bigger than what I can handle with my current data management technologies and processes. And I think that does apply. One of the things that you will initially run into when you say, I need a big data solution, is likely some engineers are going to say, I can already do that with what I have. So there's some investigation work, some evaluation work to actually answer that question.
Michael, so I have an enormous data warehouse. Do I, by definition, have big data?
In the industry, the current definitions of big data, I would say no, because a large data warehouse in a relational database is well structured. I've got the data models. I know how to join the tables together. The other variety component of big data is, well, it's not quite as well structured. Maybe it's XML. Of course, it can also be audio and video, which I haven't gotten involved much in those two types, but a lot of XML, so multiple formats of XML, is one of the other variety questions that you have about, is this really big data?
Let's move on to the other buzzwords around big data and how they fit in. We have Hadoop, we have columnar databases, we have NoSQL. Tell me how all these relate to big data, and also the question of Aster.
Well, all of the things you mentioned, Hadoop and columnar and Aster and NoSQL and so forth, I would consider them all component solutions in the big data environment. Unfortunately, it truly depends. The answer is usually it depends on what kind of data, how big is the data, how rapidly does it come in, that's the velocity, and how different is it, the variety. And one very important piece is, when I get my big data loaded in some system, who's going to access it and how? Because the access method with each of those can be very different. In particular, Hadoop can come down to very basic, raw programming. Now, there are a lot of companies in the industry who are working on easier access solutions, but at its very basic access to Hadoop is, I'm going to write a program.
So then really access is a huge problem. So what's the first step I take? How do I get started?
The first step, of course, is you look at, well, do I have a big data problem? What kind of data is it? What do I need to do with it? And who needs to access it? And what kind of questions do they need to ask? One of the areas in big data that I think is a problem in general is it's not a traditional, I would say, software development lifecycle. It's when you're developing a warehouse, you typically know the source, how to parse the data, how to model the data, how to load the data, and then how to write some queries against it to ask and answer certain questions. Big data systems can actually be more of a research and exploration environment of, I know there's some value there, but I don't quite know how to ask the question or what specific question to ask. So let me run through it different ways multiple times. And to do that on very large volumes, that's where you need a different kind of platform that will let some analysts do that kind of exploration.
So, Michael, that brings me to the last point. If I really am going to do big data, does that mean I go hire a gaggle of data scientists?
That would be a good step, but from what I've seen and heard in the industry, they're not available. In fact, there have been a couple of magazine articles and things like Fortune magazine that say there's a huge number of these types of analysts are going to be required, and they just don't exist yet. So it appears a very good starting place is identify some analyst types, maybe a combination of programmer analyst types in your organization, and train them. Train them how to use these processes, the MapReduce processes and so forth, and build them from the inside. Hiring them externally would be great if you can find them.
Michael Embry, business intelligence architect for Sabre. He's going to be doing a presentation on making the big decision about big data partners this year. It should be a very good presentation if you are dealing with the big data question. Michael, thank you very much.
You're welcome.